The prices for it went up. I used to go to Food for Less and they were like 80 cents for a 2 liter, and now they're $1.30.
Even like 12-ounce sodas out of like a vending machine are like $1.50 now.
Bull crap. I'm pretty sure, I guarantee you the prices to make this stuff doesn't even cost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Just wait until you come to the Midwest. Everything's double that price. It's bad.
I can't even talk. I have a Starbucks addiction. Like, I love coffee. It's really bad. Like, I think I spend like $25 a week.
Whatever makes you happy.
It's bad. But I make tips, so it evens out.
There you go.
Well, after
drink this carrot juice.
after that's racial stereotyping.
Maybe he's really into health and fitness.
After making your way back to the city, you do spot that there were other little pockets of attacks, that this was some kind of coordinated event. It's hard to tell. Currently in Baldur's Gate now, much of the blood that has been spilled in the streets today is kind of washed away because overhead it's fairly dark and cloudy now, and there is like a showering of rain coming down over the city, which has cleared some of the fog out, at least. It's quite a bit easier, and when you had your combat, there was a thick fog where it was hard to see much farther than maybe 15 feet in front of you, and a lot of that is cleared out with the rain now, but now it's kind of starting to come down quite a bit. It is now kind of past mid-afternoon, and you guys are thinking about heading into the upper city to look for Captain Lightheart. After disposing of the cultist body, but as you're getting ready to go, after Krayley drops their stuff off and you guys are getting situated to head out into the streets, Captain Lightheart does return to the barracks early.
I'm gonna spontaneously ask him if he knows how to cast Speak with Dead.
I don't know if did I give him a token? No. I don't know if that's a spell he has. Does anyone want to try and guess what Captain Lightheart is?
You said he's barefoot most of the time, right?
The barbarian.
He's barefoot, shirtless. He walks around in a pair of burlap pants. He's got a longsword.
Barbarian.
Plain looking longsword. If you get it right, I'll give you an inspiration.
I'm guessing monk.
No, monks wouldn't use a
druid,
longsword.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be a druid because druids can't use metal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a ranger, but he could be he's either a rogue, a swashbuckler rogue, or a barbarian. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say totem barb.
He looks over at
loser.
He looks over at you, Tanwak, and he says, "No, I can't cast Speak with Dead, but I could find somebody who can."
Oh,
No,
please hurry, because we just dumped the body outside.
He says, "Is Misty okay?" Misty.
The cat hasn't.
Well, who's dead?
Well, some cultists of Bhaal attacked, and we managed to capture their sorcerer person.
He says,
I had this whole plan that we're gonna execute, and then I guess he got into a scuffle with this Dolos fellow here, and then now he's dead.
he looks over to you, Dolos. What you see is a red-skinned tiefling. He's about 5'9" as well. He's not a very he's a slender man, kind of a younger looking tiefling. He has he's shirtless. He has a golden necklace with a pendant of a half sun on the chain. He's barefoot. You can see that I guess maybe at this moment you might just assume that it's because he came from outside and it's now raining, but he's barefoot and his feet are all wet. But they're very clean for somebody who's been walking around the cobbled streets of the city. He has a long sword slung over one shoulder and a pair of just plain burlap pants that you can tell have like very wide, deep pockets.
He's wearing cargo jorts.
Is he a warlock? Yeah, because he's a familiar. Could he be, or he could be a blade singing wizard, or fuck, what warlocks?
I'm still looking for like a good proper image of Captain Lightheart. This one.
Is he a hexblade pact of the familiar?
This one, shows him with one horn, but he actually has both of his horns. They're not broken off. They look like they've actually been shaved down, almost like intentionally, like with some kind of file or something.
What you're saying is that he's not as horny as Bernard.
Not as horny, no.
I'm still stuck on the class thing because now I'm just. I'll get it.
He's Captain Lightheart. Captain Lightheart is a paladin.
Oh.
Armorless paladin?
Pure paladin.
Okay, I gotta admit,
That
the
makes sense.
thought did come across my mind, but I was like, but he's barefoot, so he can't be a paladin.
Yes. He's a
like a vow of poverty or something.
He's a
Maybe.
He's a redemption paladin.
Oh.
Well, like he can redeem himself by putting on some clothes. There's only one half-naked person allowed to run around here.
He looks over at
Can
you.
we reduce that to 0?
He looks over at you, Dolos, and he says, "Oh, welcome to the barracks, newcomer."
Captain Lightheart, I assume.
Indeed.
It is a pleasure.
Do I know you?
Your letter arrived and the bunny read it aloud. I'm Dolos. I work for Older Raven Guard. And he bows.
Okay, you're gonna have to make a deception check with disadvantage.
Yeah.
When he says that, can I whisper Quayle?
Whisper to who?
Also feel like
Just to
bunny is
myself.
a
Oh.
derogatory.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, right, gotcha. Yeah. Where does character sheet go? There we go. Oh, 17. Wow. Oh, is the first one 13?
Did I press it twice? Oh.
Yeah, it went twice.
no.
We're going to. I'm gonna roll one. I'm gonna roll an insight check as well, though. So.
Okay. Come on, Lightheart, be clueless. Be like the others.
Hello.
I implicitly trust Dolo with everything.
Captain Lightheart says, "Well, I'm sorry that we've never met, Dolos. Welcome to my barracks. Well, what brings you here? How have you come into contact with my new recruits?
There was an attack on High Hall. I was there, but I had to run for my life. And then I came upon this battle between your new recruits and some cultists of Bhaal. I helped them gain a prisoner, and the battle was won. And I've stayed here since then.
He says, if you don't mind me asking, what is it exactly that you do for Ula Raven God?
I think that is a subject that we would be better to talk about privately.
Captain Lightheart says, well, I am trying to cultivate an aura of trust here in the barracks, seeing as these new recruits have pledged to help me restore the city. Well, maybe restore is not the right word. Bring the city to Older Raven God's vision. There are to be no secrets here. Whatever you have to say could be said in front of all of us. I can assure you that whatever it is that you do for him, my recruits will not expose.
Dolos will look to each and every one of you, and then look back to Lightheart and say, I am a spy. With all the corruption going around, I give order information on the other noble houses. There is a black heart of corruption and vileness within them, and I make sure he is informed.
He looks you over for a brief moment, and he says, well, Dolos, if you would like to linger for a moment, I can fill you in. I understand now why you might have fled during the attack. It did get fairly hairy there in the High Hall. I think that's probably where most of the cultists directed their force, but fortunately, Ulder survived.
Question. Does it, like, maybe you described this already, but does it look like Lightheart is coming from the battle?
No, it doesn't look like he's been in a fight. He says, we've gotten it cleaned up, though. We were expecting some important dignitaries in Baldur's Gate today from El Terrell, and they still haven't arrived. So we are beginning to suspect that this attack was all a distraction to waylay these important people that were supposed to meet with Ulders. We still have yet to solve that mystery, but for the time being at least, Ulder is safe, and we have people searching for the men that were supposed to arrive here to meet with us. I suppose it's fortunate that you arrived to help my recruits with the fight.
I suppose it is.
Cultists of Bhaal are vicious and violent, and they are relentless in their exploits. This is the first time that they've struck during the day in broad, full force. I have yet to count the full casualty of all of their exploits, but it seems as though their numbers are greater than we had originally thought. And as you say, Dolos, the corruption has spread quite a bit wider than we had anticipated. Tell me, are you due to report back to the High Hall and Ulder himself?
Not as of yet. There have been some, well, as I said before, matters for private conversation. I do not want to give my full report to people who I still don't know the names of.
He says, well, the attempt of Ulder Ravengard's life is quite a serious matter. I hope that you all could understand. For the time being, Ulder is going to be laying low. I dare say that even you, Dolosa, one of his spies, may not be able to find him for the time being, so perhaps if your hands are free, you might be interested in assisting me.
I was just about to suggest that. I need a place to stay after all.
Well, perhaps you can fill me in on the details of your duty more in full a bit later. But for the time being, you mentioned that you had captured one of the cultists. Did you learn anything from them? Did you let them go?
Wait, wouldn't Lightheart already know? We just told him that he died.
Oh, maybe I missed that.
Yeah, because I asked him if he knew how to cast Speak with the Dead.
Oh, right. But there's no corpse here. He says,
we chucked it outside.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. He says, did you, we unfortunately weren't able to capture any of them alive. Most of them took their own lives before we were able to get our own hands on them. So any information you might have learned could be incredibly valuable. We're kind of in the dark.
Dulles is the one with the information.
Mortlock Van Damper was the name I was given before he killed himself. The cultist.
Well, I know
I
of the
don't know
Van...
nothing more than that.
He says, I know of the Van Thampers, that's to be sure.
Sylvie kind of goes up to Lightheart and takes out the paper that has the symbol of the bathhouse on there, and she goes, I found this on one of the cultists. Does it have any significance to you?
He takes it and he looks at it. He flips it over and sees the symbol on the back, and he says, "Yes, this looks like a reclamation ticket from the Steaming Nymph. I've actually bathed here before. It's quite a nice place. Where did you get it?"
I found it on one of the cultists that we killed during the battle. It had a number on it.
Oh, that's interesting, I guess, that it's possible that, you don't know a cultist identity until you capture one, I suppose. And seems as there are many more nobles and perhaps even members of the Fist that are involved in these dark dealings of the city than we had originally thought. I suppose that it's quite possible that some of the noble families that are involved in whatever's going on here in the city is members of the cult themselves. I don't know if this is something that you all would be interested in checking up on as one of your first duties as new members of the Fist. Could send you to the Steaming Nymph in the morning and you could inquire as to what's been going on there. See if you can find out anything suspicious.
Yeah,
Go.
Yeah?
let's do it.
It looks like you guys have been in a fight, so I would hate to send you on the back of a battle in case something bad happens. I suppose it's up to you if you'd like to go at night. I do know that they have operating hours that close after midnight, I believe. 9 to midnight, if I remember. It's up to you guys, I suppose. I am due back at the High Hall at some point this evening.
I'm not sure about the rest of you, but I am still pretty injured. Some rest would be appreciated.
I agree. I am completely tapped out for spells, although I could force at least one more out of me.
Well, it's up to you all. I'll leave it up to you. I want to offer you some independence in your actions, so I'll let you make the decision yourselves whether you wish to go in the night or wait till morning.
It seems as if most of us need to recuperate from the last battle. So
I think
maybe
so,
it is
yeah.
best to go in the morning.
Dolos, there is one empty room still, so you are welcome to stay here if you'd like for the evening. I don't know
Thank you.
if it is Ulder you report to directly or not, but if I see him, I could give him a message to you from you if you'd like.
I have something in mind, yes. I'll let you know later, before you leave.
He smiles at you and he says, well, before I head out, would you like me to whip you all up something to eat for dinner? I'm famished.
Why not?
Love some carrot juice.
As long as it's
I knew it.
Playing to the stereotype, I see.
He has his like grocery satchel slung over one shoulder, and you can see that it's like stuffed full of food. You can see like the tops of carrots brimming out of the top of the satchel, and he says, fresh carrot juice coming right up. And he winks at you, Krayley. He juices some carrots. He gets some steaks going. Well, there's like some serious fireworks going on outside of my apartment.
Everything's burning down again.
He like brings out some big fat steaks wrapped in like meat paper and gets them all unfolded and sizzling. Pretty soon the barracks is filled with the scent of cooking meats, and he grinds up a big bushel of carrots into a vase of carrot juice that he sets on the table, brings out some cups for everyone, as well as a fresh, clean pitcher of water, and you guys have like a nice, hearty dinner. While you're all eating, he looks over to you, Dolos, and he says, well, tell me, Dolos, how did you come to be in the service of Ulder Ravengard? I know that he does keep spies, and I haven't met everyone that works for him. I'd be curious to know how one becomes under the employ in such a delicate endeavor as spying.
When you try to change something for the better, something as big as Baldur's Gate even, you have to understand the old ways to make them anew. And as someone from a lower city, it is very easy to go where you are not wanted and see what you shouldn't see. And after many years, I worked my way up.
Who is this man?
Fate worked its ways.
He
And
says,
by the way, Elvis is not eating. He can't.
Can we force him?
let me ask
Well, I
you.
mean, there's no mouth hole.
Oh,
Why is it that Dolos can't eat? Just personally, out of
Does-
curiosity,
There's no mouth hole
in the mask or in your face?
in the mask.
Oh, okay.
It,
So it's just like you don't want to remove your mask.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
Still around technical strangers.
Just like the Mandalorian, can you like not too long?
I think Captain Lightheart does say, "Are you not hungry? It's been a long day for all of us. You know, you're not. Your identity is. I'd understand you wanting to keep your identity a secret, but you know, I'm going to find out who you are eventually. You might as well. You might as well just have a bite."
it's a trap. Shh.
For everybody's pleasure, I think it would be better to keep the mask on. Some things are better left to be behind the curtain.
I'm trying to decide something that I've kind of just thought of.
He's gonna stab you.
Dolos,
No.
make a
Oh no. A random check? That's never a good thing.
It's not random at the way you've been acting.
make a just roll a d20. Just roll a flat d20.
Okay. That's really scary. Oh no.
You're starting to have. You're like now having a conversation with Captain Lightheart, and the two of you are kind of a similar age, and you have this sudden like flashback, a realization, and you remember when you were a child back in the orphanage, a spirited young tiefling boy. And when I say spirited, I don't necessarily mean in a kind fashion. You remember that in your orphanage days, a young tiefling boy that was quite violent and aggressive, bullied many of the other children, always was, you know, as it goes with orphans, you know, you kind of develop particular skill sets sometimes as you're kind of fending for yourself, and this young tiefling boy would just take things from other people. He would sometimes just become angry for no reason and beat another child viciously. The staff at the orphanage had just an impossible time controlling this boy, and you are starting to realize that this is that child. This is who. It was Captain Lightheart that used to be this aggressive, violent, other person in the orphanage from when you were a kid growing up there. You remember him always cursing in Infernal at the other children, and then there would be times like late in the night that you would hear him talking to himself in his room for hours on end in Infernal. And that's kind of how you picked up some of the language that you know. And you're having this realization that this is one of the boys in the orphanage that you are in. And it seems that from the boy you knew, his demeanor has changed entirely. And as far as you can tell, this is just far well beyond that child that you remember back from your early days in the orphanage in Boulder's Gate when you were a child.
Wow.
You can't tell. You can't tell if he recognizes you. He doesn't seem to be letting on anything, and as far as you can tell, he also seems to be taking everything that you're saying at your word.
I think Delos takes a few moments to process his realization. And then, in Infernal, he says, I'm glad to see the young fighter has turned into a older mentor. It's good to see you again.
Is Dolos your character's real name, or would you have
Yes.
been called something else when you were a child in the orphanage?
No, he would still been called Delos. He never changed his name. It was the one thing he kept the same.
He he squints at you for a moment. And then he says, wait. I thought that those dulcet tones sounded familiar. Dolos, is that you?
Does he say that in common or in another language?
No, he says it in common.
Okay. And of course.
Your infernal always was terrible. He stands up.
Roast them.
He stands up. He stands up from the table and walks across to you, and he kneels in front of you, and he like drops his head very low, and he says, "In the light of Lathander, I apologize for all the transgressions that I caused you and the other children when we were young. I am still trying to make up for those days, but I hope that I can earn your forgiveness." And he stands up and he kind of, you can see, like, you can all kind of see that he has, like, in the corner of his eye, just like one little tear that kind of drips down the side of his face. And he takes a deep breath and he kind of wipes it away. He says, I've learned to control the anger that lives inside of me. Thankfully.
Thankfully indeed. And apology accepted. Forgiveness and all the works.
He goes back
I
and...
am not a...
No, sorry. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, I am not a man of the gods, but your apology is accepted likewise.
He goes back and sits down and he says, "Be that as it may, it is still interesting that sometimes the god will weave the fates of those they look after together. We've both come a long way, it seems.
It
And
seems we have.
Glad that our fates have once again met under better circumstances."
Me too.
I won't inquire any further about your dealings with Raven God. I know even to me he has his secrets. And perhaps it's not my place. But you're more than welcome to work with my new recruits if you'd like.
Of course. After the attack and all the hiding down, I'll need a place to work for a while.
And he says, "Well, that sounds great to me. Then I hope you all have a good night's rest, and I'm not sure when I'll see you next, but I'll check in on you when I can. For the time being, why don't you check out the bathhouse and see what you can find.
So a bathhouse is just a building with a large bath in it? A communal bathing area?
They vary. The ones in the upper city tend to cater to the noble clienteles. But yeah, something along those lines.
They are very fun.
I would imagine so.
Do the rest of you need anything from me while I'm here?
Not yet.
I don't believe so.
It may seem advantageous to do this preemptively. If you could inform this older Raven Guard fellow that the... Oh god, this is going to be so hard to... that the Tlatocateo Fishki of Metitin clan is here, and that as a diplomatic gesture, if I could be given free travel through all parts of the city. Not only as my title, but also as the liaison of this new flaming fist. I do not expect him to be able to pronounce that. Actually, I should probably put it.
Actually, that is a good idea. I should provide you all with some official documentation. And he goes after he's finished eating, and he pulls out some of the parchments that he has, and he writes you each like an official letter detailing your duty and service to Boulder Raven Guard, the city of Boulder's Gate, working under Captain Lightheart. He gives them all his sigil, which is like a wax stamp imprinted with that little half sun, and it's all in his handwriting. He says your cloak should help as well, but you really shouldn't have too much trouble now amongst other members of the Fist. At least those that are under Raven Guard. I can't promise you that there will not be tensions amongst those that are still in the pockets of the nobles. Yeah. He says, I know you've all been into the basement, so you're also welcome to use anything down there. You're all if you need to equip yourselves further, then you're more than welcome to help yourselves to any armaments below. And feel free to choose a cloak if you'd like, Dolos.
There are cloaks? Oh.
You guys can help him with that if you'd like. I think one of you still has the key. And he says, that reminds me. And he reaches into his pocket. You can kind of hear some jangling, and he slides a brass key across the table to you, Dolos, for the empty room upstairs.
Thank you. He takes it.
Keep your wits about you. Tomorrow, when you head to the Steaming Nymph, I guess for the time being, it's our only lead. I have to attend to matters of recovering the missing diplomats that were due at the High Halls. And so I might even be leaving the city for a time. So, until I see you again, you're on your own. Misty can handle herself. She comes and goes as she pleases. I think one thing you would notice now, one thing that you all did actually notice is when you headed to Southfoot, there are a lot of cats in Baldur's Gate. One thing that keeps the streets fairly clean is there's a large feline population that kind of wanders freely through the streets of Baldur's Gate. Many of the shops have little food and water bowls outside, and even occasionally you'll catch them like perched up in little garden boxes high up, in some of the taller buildings. All cats of all kinds of breeds, colors, shapes, sizes, and the streets seem fairly clean of rat and refuse. Even in the lower cities, even though it's quite a bit poorer. Lightheart says, Misty keeps things lit and warm around here, so I'll have her keep her eye on you while I'm gone. And he gives Misty a pat on her head.
The cat.
Misty purrs and kind of rubs her head along Captain Lightheart's shoulder, and then jumps off the table and goes and kind of lays in a puff of fur in the corner on Captain Lightheart's blankets that he usually sleeps on when he's here at the barracks. He says, he looks to you, Krayley, and he says, unfortunately, it seems as though for the time being, Zaj has disappeared. I don't know if he's left the city, and I have yet to uncover the identity of the men that were with him. I will tell you that he's not the type of man to cower in the shadows for long, though. And so I would just keep an eye at your back. But we will have men stationed outside of your mother's home until we've dealt with the Zaj situation. And he has been discharged in disgrace from the Flaming Fist. So, as far as the Fist is concerned, he is no longer welcome in Baldur's Gate as well. But he still has allies.
So he could still be.
He could be. The one fortunate thing about it is that Zaj is a hard man to miss. And that is just simply because of his size. And as far as I know, he doesn't really have much access or capability to use magic.
Does the name sound familiar to me, Zaj? Would my family have worked with him at some point?
Make a history check.
Can I ask the same thing?
Make a history check.
Thought he would say something different. Oof.
You never, for both of you, for you, Renard, you've never met the man, but you do know that your father knows him, and you do know that he is an especially vicious humanoid.
I'm just curious. Was he like would my family have like used him before?
I think they probably would have paid him for something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dolos, you know that you have seen Zaj at the Van Thamper estate on several occasions. He has never met. You've never known him to meet directly with Thalamra. But you know that he has met several times with Amrit. And
Alright.
you know that even Mortlock does not like him.
Okay.
And I guess I would even say that 14 is high enough to know that Captain Zaj is well known in the lower cities for doing a very similar thing that happened to Krayley's mother. He has no qualms about killing people in broad daylight in full public, and he's something that he's done several times before. More often, kind of, you know that more often it's always happened in some sort of instigation in brawls or bar fights. And you know something about the inns in the lower cities of Baldur's Gate, in that brawls and bar fights often break out, and nothing really results of it as long as whoever's involved in the brawls and bar fights don't ever involve any of the staff of whatever establishment that they're in. So like the staff will completely ignore violent altercations that take place in their establishments, and when it's over, they'll go back to work like nothing ever happened. Unless someone directly has an altercation with a member of the staff of whatever establishment that you're in.
Alright.
You guys.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to. Can I roll a history check to see, just to see if Dolos ever popped up in my family history? Any recollection, or anything like his name written down on a contact book or something like that?
Yeah, make a history check.
Yeah. I'll figure you out,
Oh no.
bastard.
Well,
Another 10.
let me ask the two of you. Have the two of you spoken at all about having any kind of relation to each other?
If he ever dealt in any of the criminal parts of the of Baldur's Gate, more than likely, if not directly, indirectly.
It was a very more of like an indirect sort of working with your family. It was never like, oh, I'm working with them to do stuff. It's like, I'm working with them for a greater purpose, and I know of them, and I know of the dealings.
Okay. He's like a subcontractor. We hire a guy who hires him.
Yes.
You know that your father has purchased information from Dolos.
Okay.
Or at least someone named Dolos. But you know, you don't know.
I mean, that's in character. It's very limited knowledge.
Yeah.
I understand.
And it's like you said, like you'd kind of been shuffling around your father's study without permission, and you found some logbook of names categorized under people who know things.
That's not a good thing. Not a good book to be in. That is not a good book to be in.
But the name was under 2 categories: people who know things and people who owe me things.
Okay. I don't think either of those things are good to play. To be completely honest.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
But I imagine it's like maybe it doesn't say like Dolos's full name. Like it didn't say Dolos Grimwald. It said like Dolos, like some made up last name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whatever Dolos felt like that week.
Yes.
Yeah, like Delos Henry or Delos Theodore.
Yeah.
Dolos
Who's named
McJeffries.
Theodore in Baldur's Gate? Too normal of a name.
Lightheart says to you, Tanwak, I will of course make sure that I tell Older that he has Mastika's favor. He tries to like pronounce those names that you said, but he doesn't have the tongue for it. It's even more complicated than Infernal.
Out of character, that always makes you wonder if there's different cultures that use different names. Like there's like Baldur's Gate, you see stuff with like French and English or whatever. It's like if it's common, does that mean just everyone speaks English, or like what happens to like ethnic dialect?
Yeah, I think that your character is probably.
All my homies hate the French. That's why we go with. That's why I went with German names, so I can fit my aesthetic.
Like there's a version of common that everyone kind of uses. Like it's ubiquitous throughout Toril. But it's like there's like dialects of common where it's like there is some aspect of communication that's maybe a little more difficult for you in Baldur's Gate because you can understand everything, but there's just different words people might use, something like that.
Understand them, but they can't understand me.
Yes, yeah. There's like a way that you speak that's not necessarily, things aren't necessarily lost in translation, but it just takes longer to get the same message across.
Yeah.
And I think because of some of that common tongue was still carried over because Mastica was, language adapts and changes over time, but there was a version of common that was still used through Mastica back before the portions of the spell plague that caused the events that happened to Mastica to take place. So it's something that you had learned that as part of your training. There was always a hope that Mastica would return to its plane of existence, and through Dark Omens it has. Captain Lightheart asks anyone else if there's anything else they need from them.
I don't have to go through any sort of initiation ritual, do I? That's not a thing here, right?
Captain,
You didn't know about that?
Captain Lightheart says to you, no, Dolos, I think I initiated you well enough when we were children.
Warned.
I can beat the shit out of him if you're uncomfortable.
You can't touch me.
And
I will break you.
You can try.
I think it would. It would
So you
be
tell all the boys.
it would be best for us all to just try and get along if we can.
Oh no, it was friendly. This was a friendly conversation.
Yes, it is.
You guys have an odd way of friendly.
Well, I
Yes,
think
guys can be
Well,
complicated.
I think we know each other a little bit more than. I took me a second, but I think I know him a bit closer than I originally thought.
Oh,
Um,
I'm glad you finally remembered.
Oh, it took me a second.
Hmm.
I think the last thing that Lightheart says is that there's one other thing that I should mention. The woman who led the attack on the High Hall. She's the only one that escaped. And she gives the description of Larissa. There's a pale blue-skinned tiefling woman who wore a crown of dead roses. She was particularly vicious, and she must have killed nearly 24 guardsmen. Quite a prolific wielder of the weave. I don't believe that she has left the city, and she's one of the most dangerous people I've seen in quite some time. I would keep an eye out for her as well. I have a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach that she might be behind a lot of these emergent of these cultists of Bhaal. And I do believe that there must be something running deeper and darker in the bowels below the city.
As soon as he finishes talking, I just leave in silence and go to my room.
Well, I do hope
That
we
was
don't run into
dramatic.
her, because I don't want her to be my problem. She seems somebody more apt for. She seems more apt for someone of your level. You know, captain and all.
I arrived at the High Halls just as she was fleeing, so I didn't have the opportunity to engage with her. But I did see the destruction she left in her wake, and I dare say she might give me a run for my money. She's a person of interest that I would like to stop from hurting anyone else. Another one that I'm adding to my growing list.
Ooh, a captain has a hit list.
It seems as such, yes. And
Seems like you're going into a little bit more of your flaming fist roots now, aren't you? Political assassinations. I'm sure Dolos would be able to help.
I just do what I'm told. Bernard.
well, the
Well, I'm gonna
vow,
have fun with you.
the vows that I've taken state that there are times where I must do what is required in the name of the light. And I'm hoping that Lathander might interpret my actions when the time comes as acting in favor of said light. But yes, you're right. Some of the recent events that are transpiring are tapping into something inside of myself that I thought I'd resolved.
Well, I hate to divert the conversation, but I do have one question.
Of course.
If you got to High Hall as she was leaving, did you hear any loud noises? Not of the vocal kind, but maybe an explosion of sorts?
I did hear a rumbling sound, something kind of like thunder, and I heard that one of the gathering chambers was torn to shreds. Some strange form of magic ripped a big piece of the hall apart, but I had just assumed it had something to do with the woman that was fleeing.
Then I'm not alone in my thoughts. Alright, okay.
Well, I must return to my own duties. I wish you all luck in your first endeavors in the Flaming Fist, and when the moment requires, I hope we all meet again. Misty, I'll miss you. And he gathers his blade and gives you all one last look, as if to say, if there's nothing else. And then he says, may Lathander's light guide you. And he leaves to head back towards the Upper City.
I don't even know who Lathander is.
He's a god of light and righteousness.
I was thinking of maybe having a dream sequence or two, but I'd like you guys to experience maybe a little bit of intrigue and action, so there will be plenty of evenings where you can have fitful sleeps in the future. So you guys all get a long rest. The night goes by uneventfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dolos, you wake up in the morning with all the rooms in the second level of the guards tower are have the same outlay. They kind of have a comfortable down feather bed, empty well-made wooden chest for your personal belongings that comes along with a personal padlock. There's like a
Wonderful.
there's like a simple nightstand with like a candle. There's like a each of them has like a kind of like a text in the drawer, like you would see in like if you were staying like a cheap motel. It's a book called The Light of Lathander that Captain Lightheart has placed in everyone's drawers there.
Sure.
Oh yeah. And there's like a triangle window, and you see Misty when you wake up sitting in the window, just kind of staring at you with her big amber eyes, her tail like flicking back and forth.
Big meaty claws.
Are there any mirrors in the room, or just the window?
There's a mirror, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
So the cat is in my room. Weird. Okay.
Yeah,
Kill
you didn't hear your door open in the night or anything.
Okay.
You're able to lock your door from the inside or outside.
I think you would log it from the inside. I think he gives Misty a weird look and is like, I never liked cats. I'm glad I don't have a pet.
Otherwise, you guys get the benefits of a long rest. You regain your
Nice.
spells. Does Tanwak have any like nighttime rituals from home that he does before he goes to sleep?
Oh yes. Let me look at the character sheet so I can read exactly what it is. There's something I have to do I have certain rituals that I must follow every day. I can never break them. So every night, in order to not reveal backstory, I won't reveal that part yet. I do have to recite these certain prayers every night.
He's a Satanist, calling it now, or the equivalent of one.
Do you know the rituals what you have to recite?
Oh, sorry. Let's see. I know I had it written down somewhere. If my computer wants to cooperate with me and open up my goddamn
No.
drive.
Sometimes I'll just have
No.
you guys do things for my own personal immersion. You know what I mean? It's kind of meaningless,
go.
but
This is from my lore. No.
yeah. Yes, yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Also brought to you in part by ChatGPT. Okay. I'm gonna try to breeze through this pretty quickly. Prayer of the Rising Sun in the first light of oh, never mind. That uses the actual Nahuatl God's names. Okay, I have this other version. Prayer of the Rising Sun. In the first light of Kokul's divine embrace, I call upon the radiant warmth of creation. May its gold rays illuminate my path, guiding me through darkness, bringing clarity to my journey. Prayer of the whispering wind. As Ahaz's breath sweeps across the land, I seek the guidance of gentle winds and powerful gales. Grant me the ability to navigate life's twists and turns and carry my intentions to distant realms. Prayer of the flowing waters, nourishing Azul's life, giving essence. I beseech, flowing through veins of the earth, sustaining all. May your nurturing currents cleanse my spirit and carry away the burdens of the day, leaving me renewed. Prayer of the Earth's embrace. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. This is long.
No, that's all right.
It's all good.
It's lore. It's lore. Keep going.
Mastika, foundation of all existence, I rest upon your sacred body this night. Grant me strength and stability, like mountains that touch the heavens, as I slumber and dream in your protective embrace. Prayer of the starlit sky. In the celestial tapestry woven by Kukul's hand, I gaze upon the eternal dance of luminous beams. May their brilliance inspire my dreams, guiding my steps as I traverse the realm of the unknown. Prayer, and last one. Prayer of the rising hope. Kotal, voyager into horizon's embrace. Your prophecy lingers in the whispers of time. May your light illuminate my purpose and path as I carry the echo of your return in my heart's chime.
Even from well across the waters of your homelands, the spirits of your gods and your ancestors take heed of your prayers and grant you an inspiration.
That was only 6. There's like,
Now that he's milked, milk the rest.
Okay, well, that's good for now. That's good for now.
I only included 5 that I'm missing, but I just don't care.
Sure, yeah. And then the only other thing is that in the morning, when you wake up, Sylvie, there is a butterfly kind of gently, its wings kind of gently moving back and forth, closing and opening. It's sitting on top of your flute, your windpipes, your instrument,
He's the chosen one.
your instrument of death.
I go over to it and like hold my finger out to like kind of coax it over to me.
It flutters over. Let me ask you something about your sister. Was she what was she? Do you have you thought about like what she was like?
She was like bright and like extremely optimistic, the complete opposite of who Sylvie is, basically.
So you would imagine maybe that's like she would often do things like, draw or paint colorful pictures, things like
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Much like the brooch you gave to the little girl, the butterfly flutters over, but it doesn't like turn back into the brooch that you had carried and gave to the girl. It just seems like a butterfly that's alive material, but it has like a pattern on its wings, much identical to like how your sister, when you were a child, would draw a butterfly's wings.
I turn to it and I just say, "Sister, if that's you, I really do apologize for everything that happened." And then I just kind of watch it closely and see what it does next.
It kind of jumps off your hand and flutters around the room a bit, and then it like flies back towards your instrument, and as it kind of like collides with it, there's like a shimmer of magic, and the pattern of the butterfly's wings kind of like covers your instrument, so now it's like this colorful, intricate pattern of the butterfly's wings that kind of wraps around your instrument. That was kind of like a plain wood color before.
Oh wow. Sylvie picks it up and kind of like investigates it to see if like anything else changed.
Make an investigation check.
Can I use my inspiration?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, there we go.
You pick up the what is your instrument called? I don't want to keep just calling it the instrument.
It's a pan flute.
A pan flute, right.
Yeah.
You pick up your pan flute and you're kind of examining it, and you put your lips to it and you blow a few notes into it, and instead of hearing like the notes of the music, you hear like a very faint whisper that seems like it's from very, very far away. And it says, "Don't be sorry, sister. I'm here with you. I've never left." And then the like notes of the music still kind of linger in the air for a few moments.
I just kind of sit there and look at it almost in like shock that I heard my sister's voice again. But I'm also skeptical at the same time.
Sure.
Because I also know there are very bad people around me at all times.
You're not sure what this is. Your life has been very dark and fraught with just this constant hunting of this person that you've tracked now to Baldur's Gate and have had contact with from so long ago, and what you think is that you just have you're not sure what's happened, but you're certain at the very least that you have just experienced some form of old elven magic.
Okay.
But otherwise, the rest of you, you make your way downstairs. It is the following morning. Foggy, as always, in Boulder's Gate, with a mission from Captain Lightheart to go investigate the steaming nymph and see if you can find anything out about if there's any relation to the ticket that the cultist was carrying that you found, if there's anything odd going on there. It is a poor lead, but it's the only one you have at the moment. And you guys make your way out in to the streets of Boulder's Gate. I guess we're kind of near the end of the session, but we can end in front of the bathhouse. I think that would be a good place. So as you guys head up through the upper city, there are some guards stationed. They see a few of you bearing the cloaks, your new cloaks. We can resolve if you get any equipment from the basement before you leave next time or after the session. But you guys make your way into the upper city. It's actually not too difficult to find the Steaming Nymph bathhouse. Give me a sec here. I have so many maps now. I didn't have time to do the dynamic lighting on this map, so we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. But this is like a building in the streets of the upper city, not too far from the high gate that you guys passed through to get into, passing through the guards to get into the upper city, where typically lower city folk are not allowed. I don't even know if we would call any of you lower city folk necessarily, but you're all in service to the Flaming Fist now, and they let you pass without any question, really. Nobody even really attempts to ask you as they see some of your new cloaks and things. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And you find the Steaming Nymph in the upper city. What you see before you is a one-story stuccoed building with stained glass windows and clay roof tiles. It has a 10-foot wall that encloses a large courtyard, and in the south corner of the building there is a set of double wooden bamboo doors that would open into the courtyard. It's engraved with the images of smiling nymphs dancing and frolicking in a pool of water that's like steaming. And being in the early morning hours, I think maybe it's just probably before the bathhouses are opening for the day. Or maybe it's like 10 minutes after they have opened. Yeah. You guys push on the bamboo gates and they just kind of swing open. You see that there's like this L-shaped courtyard with a trimmed lawn. There are nicely manicured shrubberies, and the yard is decorated with white marble benches and stone fountains. All the fountains are kind of in the forms of these smiling nymphs, tipping little jugs that spill water into circular stone basins. Around the L of the courtyard, there's another big sort of bamboo door. You can hear the voices of people kind of cheerfully talking. Steam is kind of pouring out of open windows out into the courtyard itself. It seems like there had been some maybe early appointments at the bathhouse this morning, and that is where we'll pick up next week.
Okay.
Hooray, we did it.
So thank you all for joining me in another Wednesday evening of Descent into Avernus, Baldur's Gate edition, where we're not playing the adventure really at all anymore, and we're just doing what we feel like. And I'll catch you all next week.